Did you know that you could grow apple trees in containers? Uh, One movement that has been picking up a lot of steam in recent years is what is called container gardening. And today I'm going to speak to you about what container gardening is, some recent innovations in container gardening, and also how it's very beneficial to pretty much everybody. And for a little bit of history, container gardening is very reminiscent of a government promoted program from World War II that was meant to get people to grow their own gardens at home. And these were called victory gardens. And during World War II, there was rations, there was shortages with transportation available. So this allowed people to stretch their ration coupons to be self-sustaining, and also provided more food for soldiers overseas. And at its peak, according to the National World War II Museum website, there were more than 20 million victory gardens in the United States, and by 1944, they were producing about 40% of the country's produce. And even people without yards could participate. In cities, people who lived in apartment buildings would create community rooftop gardens where everyone who lived there would participate and pitch in, and they would all be able to reap the benefits of the garden. People also grew plants in their window boxes and watered them through their windows. So these yardless gardens are essentially what today's container gardens are. Plants are grown in containers instead of in the ground like traditional gardening. And you can use pretty much anything as a container. You can use traditional flower pots, or you can be a little more creative like these people were. They used wagons, they used a barrel. You can upcycle old cat litter containers. My mom is a very avid gardener, and she wants to start her own container garden, and one of her ideas was to hang up an old clothesline, tie up some old pants that she's not using anymore, and plant some flowers in those. So you can use pretty much anything as long as it'll hold dirt and has the appropriate drainage for the plant. And it's great for not just flowers, you can also grow herbs and fruits and vegetables. So there's a lot of edibles you can grow, and it's also great because it's portable. Everything's in containers. If you move or you get bored of your setup, you can just rearrange it or bring your garden with you. And it also is great. It adds, a unique landscaping aspect to your yard, your patio, your entryway, your balcony, wherever you live. So in recent years, there has been an increased demand for organic products, for the ability to be self-sustaining. So with container gardens, there's been a lot of new research, a lot of new innovations. For example, Penn State's Agricultural Department in 2008, they started research to discover which vegetables and fruits were best for container gardens. They were compact. They evaluated over 300 mixes of tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, squash, and they mostly just wanted to provide gardeners with recommendations for the best plants. But since then, they have also been doing research on new compact varieties of plants to help improve container gardens and make even more edible plants more accessible to the public. Burpee, which is a prominent seed company, has also been doing research and developing new varieties of compact and dwarf plants. designed to succeed in containers and smaller spaces. So one example of that is columnar apple trees, and you can see in the picture they grow up, they don't really have branches, they're only about 6 to 8 feet tall, so they're really good for container gardens, and they're one newer breed of apple tree that has been developed for them. And container gardening, another innovation is people getting creative with the setup of their gardens. They build up, they build instead of out, they build against their walls, hang things from their roof, just utilize every inch of space that they have really to get what they need out of it. So beyond that, container gardening is very self-sustaining, so it's beneficial. Home gardening in general is just a very significant strategy to improve your food security. It's more reliable than government-aided programs are. There's potential to raise a lot of different foods, and you could virtually, through container gardening, become completely self-sufficient, or at the least knock everything off besides like meats and dairy products from your grocery list, which would save a lot of money for a lot of people. There would be about some costs, probably buying pots, fertilizers, seeds, but after those initial costs, it's very affordable. There's also a lot of alternative options to getting these supplies. For example, a lot of parks, when rangers go out to collect dead trees, branches, stuff like that, they will collect this and make mulch out of it, and it just sits at the park in a pile. It's free for the public to take up. I know Silver Lake Park, which is right around the corner from here, has a mulch pile. You can just drive up with your car with a big container and take as much as you need. So that's a totally free option to starting your own container garden. And anyone can do it, even people who are pressed for time. I know a lot of people, they work, they go to school at the same time, maybe they have kids. Container gardening doesn't take nearly as much time as an in-the-ground garden. You basically just have to water the plants and harvest them when you need them. So it can also be done pretty much everywhere. Even if all you have is a little bit of extra counter space, you can grow a couple herbs, some smaller plants in your own house, and it wouldn't even take up a lot of room. And so in conclusion, it's just a very beneficial option to allow people to be self-sustainable, to know where their food is coming from. There's ongoing research to make it even more accessible, and it's a really unique option for gardening. And to finish, there's this quote I found from a book called The Bountiful Container that I really liked. It said, "Food is life, and growing your own is an experience of immense enrichment and affirmation."
Thank you. Very good. And you went 9:20.